I want to help people understand that the freedom really is a choice, and it is within our grasp that we can change things. We can live the life that we want to live.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. My name is Katie, and I am so happy to have you here to introduce my guest to you, Stephanie Dalfonzo. She is an integrative hypnotist, and in this journey that I've been on in having this podcast and in meeting so many different people and hearing so many different spiritual journeys, this is the very first hypnotist that I've had on, and it was really interesting to talk to her, especially breaking down some of the misconceptions about hypnotism and about how it genuinely can and has helped people in a deep way. Something really interesting that she says is that the conscious level is not where we make change. And that really resonates somehow. We talked about her history of doing it, about different things in her life that she's manifested through her confidence and through her determination. She's just such a lovely, energetic, fun person, and I know you're going to enjoy this conversation. I'll see you again at the end. Let's jump in.
Heartfelt conversations can change the world. Here's the Epic Kate podcast.
Hello, Stephanie. I'm so excited to connect with you. How are you?
Me too. I am excited. We're recording this on a Monday morning, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what a great way to foundation to set up a great week ahead. So thank you so much, Katie.
Yes, you're welcome. So go ahead and give us an introduction of who you are and what you do.
So I am an integrative hypnotist. What is an integrative hypnotist? It is hypnosis and a whole bunch more. I've been a certified hypnotist for 20 years, and I have been studying all these different ways of being able to calm stress and anxiety for well over 25 years. Because one size doesn't fit all. So the very first thing I learned was back in the mid 90s, and it was EFT. People know it now as tapping. I learned this when Gary Craig was first rolling it out in the mid 90s because of my insomnia. I found myself in the middle of my kitchen smashing a bag of Cheetos into powdery puffs because I had insomnia. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to function. And so I was taking it out on a bag of Cheetos. So when the medication, which, of course, what do? We go to the doctor. Medication, great. It worked, but only for a short time. And then it failed me. And I just, I was so fortunate to be on this phone call where Gary Craig is talking about this self-applied technique that's like acupuncture without needles. And Kate, it helped me learn to sleep again. It helped me to learn to start calming things down. But if all I knew was EFT, there's times when it wouldn't have helped me. And there are clients over the years that when I've shared tapping with them, they were like, no, that's not for me. So the reason I call myself an integrative hypnotist is I'm able to find what is it that's going to work best for you in this moment. And that means not necessarily, okay, this is what works best for Katie. This is what works best for Katie today. When we meet again in a week, it might be something different. So that's why I call myself an integrative hypnotist, because it's hypnosis and a whole bunch more.
Wow. Did you have any roadblocks to get over? Like any preconceived ideas about what hypnotism meant that you had to get over?
So the things that I had to get over were listening to other people's voices and let them color that. Because I knew on the first day of my hypnosis training, I swear it was like an out of body experience where it was like, ta-da, the clouds parted, the angels started singing. I knew deep in my heart, like, wow, this is what I'm meant to do. This is why I'm here, because I was just struck by how incredibly quick, how incredibly simple, and most of all, gentle hypnosis can be. Because I firmly believe hypnosis can help you heal without hurting, and it doesn't have to take a long time. I don't believe in re-experiencing trauma and, exposure therapy and all of that. Like, there's a way for us to heal quickly. So when I started with hypnosis, I was like, oh my gosh, full speed ahead. Then I started letting other people's voices get in my head. There was a guy named Tom. Every time I would walk into a local networking group, he'd, whoa, watch out. She's going to make you bark like a dog and cluck like a chicken. And I realize now it was just because he was scared. He did not understand. And he thought, oh my gosh, I was going to be able to control him. So he was scared. So I started getting a little bit of imposter syndrome. First of all, here I am, like fresh out of my hypnosis class, and these miracles are happening. People are walking into my office having smoked for decades and walking out never having another cigarette, to overcome fears of flying or driving on the highway or stuff. Like, so I started having a lot of imposter syndrome, but then also, the whole thing about the H word, hypnosis. It's so scary to some people. Yeah. And so I stopped leading with hypnosis for a while. And I was just talking about being a coach. You know what? Coaching is great, but coaching is done mainly at the conscious level of the mind. And the conscious level is not where we make change. We make change at the subconscious level. Our conscious mind is about 5, maybe 10% of our brain. The other 90% is the subconscious. And that is where I work in, because that's where we can make change so quickly and so easily. So long answer to your question is the things that I had to get over were the same things that most of us have to get over. And it was the stuff right in here. For those of you who are not watching this on YouTube that are just listening, I'm tapping on either side of my head, because we live in our brain. We live in these conversations in our own head that, like how, I'm not going to put you on the spot, Katie, but I'm sure you might want to shake your head, nod your head yes as I share. And there may have been a few times when you had a conversation with your husband in your head and you would like, oh, da, 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 da. And then he comes in the room and you're like, oh, all pissed off. And he's like, what's going on? Right. We have these conversations in our head and then the other person has no idea about it. But also we have those conversations in our heads just with ourselves. Right.
So something I like to ask in these conversations is to take things back, way back. Were you a kid that was that was interested in magic? Was there a way that you felt that you were different early on?
Oh, honey, I've been different my whole life. That's for darn sure. That's why we clicked immediately, Kate. My magic from the beginning was very different than what some people might think of as magic. I knew when I was 14 years old, this is, I'm about to turn 65. So a long time ago, nobody was ever talking to me about the law of attraction or anything like that. But I knew when I was 14 years old, the magic in my life was radio, because it was able to take me away from my crappy childhood, right? I could just go away. And so I knew when I was 14 years old, I knew that that was my magic. And I knew I was going to be a celebrity radio DJ. And I made it happen. I made it happen. 14 years old. I am definitely part of the Lucky to Be Alive club, because we lived out in the country, outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And literally 14 years old, I was thin, I was attractive, this long, flowy hair. And I would hitchhike to the train station, to take the train to downtown Philadelphia to go hang out at the radio station and learn about being a DJ. So that was my magic. So my magic is in my voice, because for 15 years on the radio, I literally was hypnotizing my listeners to come back day after day. And now for 20 years, I've been using my voice to hypnotize clients, literally.
That is so fun. Have you written a book yet?
I did actually. And I never planned on writing a book because, again, my voice is my gift, it's my magic. But in 2018, I heard a whisper, write the book.
But yeah, me asking about the book is, I do appreciate the self-help and the stuff, but I was referring to the story from small town kid to celebrity DJ, or sorry, was that the right term?
Yeah, I was a celebrity
like,
radio DJ.
Like the journey is something I'm so much more interested in than the help, because the journey is like, I don't know, it just shows that it's real.
Well, so, and I talk about in the book, and again, the book is very, very thin, because I didn't want to make it about me. I wanted to,
But I want to hear about you, Stephanie.
Okay. So let me share about me that when I was in my mid 30s, my last radio job was doing the morning show. And that's when I developed insomnia and lost it on a bag of Cheetos. I didn't realize the first half of my life, I was struggling with anxiety and did not know it. No one ever said, oh, yeah, you're dealing with anxiety. Ooh, maybe you could learn some. We didn't talk about that stuff. And so that was a head snap moment. Well, yeah, the insomnia is because of your anxiety. I was like, what? But I had spent the first half of my life with my ears up, my shoulders up around my ears like earrings. I thought that was normal and natural to worry, but I didn't just worry about everything. I worried always the worst case scenario. My husband would go on a business trip and I'd worry that the plane was going to crash. I'd worry this, I'd worry that. And it was debilitating, but I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And it was like that door cracked open. And when I first heard Gary Craig talking about EFT, I was like, oh my gosh, so wonderful for me. And then I started trying to tell people about it. And, this was long before it. Now you say tapping and most people know what it is. This was, probably before you were born, Kate. And people's eyes would glaze over like, oh my God, are you kidding? But I'm like, okay, whatever. This is working for me. So when I learned hypnosis, and I was like, oh, it was no longer just, okay, this is for me. It was really that understanding that I have really tapped into magic, that I can help other people. So it was totally, the whole beginning of that part of the journey was totally self-centered. And that's not a bad thing, right? Self-care is not selfish, right? We need to take care of ourselves. But then when I learned hypnosis, and I realized that it was a way for me to shine the light, I look at it as, maybe I'm a step or two ahead. And I don't mean that in a like, oh, I'm ahead of anybody, but just, you look to somebody who's just ahead of you on the path and learn from them. And that's how I look at it, that I struggled. It was awful. And now, I'm curious for you that, you're a parent of young kids. And here in the States, the U.S. Surgeon General just made an announcement that parenting can be hazardous to your health, literally saying it can be as dangerous as cigarettes and I forget what else. But the Surgeon General of the United States saying we are having a parenting crisis. And so I look at it as this is my opportunity. I thought parenting was really, really challenging. And today's parents are having so much more stress than when I was a young parent. Yeah. So I'm curious, if it's not quite as extreme where you live in Sweden as it is in the States.
from being online a lot and hearing other people's stories, there's a lot of the issues of late stage capitalism in America that don't affect us as much over here. Like we have affordable childcare. We have
Wow.
we have free health care. We have like when my kids went to school, we didn't need to purchase a big old list of supplies for them to bring with them. That is included. Um,
Wow.
like Sweden is just has a lot better things going on. Like if my twins had been born in America, their grandkids would have paid off the bill. Like
Oh, geez.
they were in the hospital, they were born at week 32. And for those of you
Oh,
not familiar, the normal gestation is 40 weeks.
yeah.
Uh, so
So they're miracles.
yeah, they were little 3-pounders, little 1,000 kilogrammers for the kilogram people out there. Um,
Wow.
but we didn't have to pay a bill because healthcare is free.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
yes, there's high taxes. I am happy to pay taxes forever because my kids are alive and I'm not wrestling under this bill and not seeing it that it's impossible to survive with you can't afford to keep your kids home and you can't afford not to work. So many people are just stuck. And it's like, are you depressed or is it capitalism?
Yeah. And so my perspective is, I am of that grandmother age, and I have no qualms about that. Like, I'm more than happy to say, you know what? I'm turning 65. And because I look at it as have had a lot of life experience and I've had the gamut. I've had, the roller coaster that is life. I've had incredible, incredible high moments. I've had incredible, incredible low moments. So I look at my role now is to be able to just reach out a hand and say, it's okay. I can help you. I can help lead you through this. I can teach you really simple ways. In my one of my Insight Timer classes recently was talking about inner peace and simply finding inner peace. It's not about, we're going to have a mountaintop experience and stay there. It's not about that. It's about finding your balance regardless of what's going on in the world around us, right? If we rely on the external circumstances, we're not going to be happy. We're not going to be living a good life. When we can find that internal balance of being able to, roll with the punches, but still, keep going, that is resilience. Resilience is about, there was Lao Tzu was a philosopher centuries ago and said, fall down 7 times, get up 8. I love that. Right?
When you were talking about the parenting is hazardous to your health, I was kind of miming like slapping my thigh, laughing like duh. but it really is. It's really validating for them to say that, and it's like you talking about your space in the world is different now. It makes me think of this. I've listened to some awesome podcasts like on this Jungian life of like people talking about postmenopause and the freedom of that. No F's to give. This is me. Take it
Yeah.
or leave it. But I'm going to give my wisdom and my love to whoever needs it. I'm going to be the trickster spirit to those that need it. Like,
and I will say yes to all of that. And there really is a freedom to it that it's, like I was saying earlier, that, what was I struggling with as, in early in my career as a hypnotist? And it was all, in my mind. It was all in that little tiny space in my brain. And now I don't care. I really don't have any F's left to give because you know what? I am very clear that I'm here and I have these gifts. And it's not like, oh, I have these gifts. No, it's, oh, I have these gifts and it's my responsibility to share them. And so,
and
oh,
if people are like, ooh, then they're not your people.
exactly. Exactly. And that doesn't make them wrong. It's just, again, I think I already mentioned it once, about Baskin Robbins, the ice cream shop in the States here. They have 31 flavors for a reason. We don't all love vanilla, right? So we want to have a different flavor. So if somebody hears hypnosis and they're like, oh, that's okay, then I'm not the right person for you. That's okay.
In my in my evangelical world that I grew up in, I was like always told that's evil. You're
Yeah.
if you open up your mind to that, demons can come straight in. Have
Yeah.
you bumped up across that opinion
Oh,
before?
very much so, very much so. So I wasn't raised with a strong religious background. We would get to church if my mother wasn't too hungover, and we'd always show up late. But as an adult, as a young adult, before I had our kids, I had this incredible spiritual experience in a religious institution, which was surprising to me. And I got into this religion. But then when I stepped into this more expanded world of, hypnosis opened the door. It's not just hypnosis, because the hypnosis helped open the door of my mind to, oh my gosh, there's all these possibilities out there. Well, the people at the church were not a fan, and it was, oh my gosh. And so, okay, you continue your way and I'm going to continue mine. And it's not that I was wrong, that they were wrong, seeing things differently.
They were being faithful to their path, but your path had expanded.
Right. And so at the time, it was confusing and it was hard for me, because wait, what? I've discovered this magic. But now it's like, oh, okay, my brand of magic might not be the right one for you, and that's okay. I hope that you can find your brand of magic, because as I read this quote out of, there's a beautiful book by Dr. Edith Eger, who is a Holocaust survivor. And she wrote this book called The Choice, Embrace the Possible. And she wrote this when she was 96, 97 years old. She's about 100 now. She's such an inspiration. And I won't read this whole thing, but I do want to read part of it. I would love to help you experience freedom from the past, freedom from failures and fears, freedom from anger and mistakes, freedom from regret and unresolved grief, and the freedom to enjoy the full, rich feast of life. And that's it. I heard Oprah saying that, reading this when she was interviewing Dr. Eger. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is like straight from my heart, because that's what I want. I want to help people understand that the freedom really is a choice, and it is within our grasp, that we can change things. We can live the life that we want to live. And it's a lot easier than people are led to believe.
So I'd love to hear about the first time that you hypnotized someone. What was that like? What did you do? How do you see it? Do you like visualize things? Like, do you like see what other people are seeing? Do you see their chakras light up? How is that?
No, that doesn't, I don't have that gift, but some people do. We all have different gifts. And there's all these different clairs. There's clairsentient, clairaudient, whatever it is for visual. I don't have that gift. But it's interesting, because I think hypnosis might be something other than what you think it is and what some of your listeners may think it is. Okay, so question, Katie. Have you ever been hypnotized?
I have not.
Yes, you have.
Have I?
Yes. We are all in and out of hypnosis all the time. Hypnosis is simply a focused state of awareness. So I would venture to say, you ever drive somewhere and you get there and you're like, oh, I don't remember the drive. Never happened to you?
I mean, I'm not a driver, but I have experienced that, I would say.
Okay. So another way of experiencing it is, if you're into, I know you're into all the tech and stuff. So I don't know. Do you play video games?
I have experienced losing time
Okay.
while like editing videos, while crafting.
Yeah. So when you lose time like that, you're in hypnosis. And
Oh.
it's no one had a swinging pocket watch and said, you're getting very sleepy, right? You simply were so focused. And literally, when you're in that state, somebody could be calling your name. One of your kids could be calling your name from the other room, and you might not hear them. Not because you're like, I don't, this mommy time, I don't want to hear you, but just because you're so focused on what you're doing. And so that is another, that's one of the biggest myths about hypnosis is people think, oh, I'm going to go under and I won't know, I won't remember anything. And it's not that at all. It's really just a focused state of awareness. So people will say, well, I can't be hypnotized. And most people can, because most of us can imagine things. So can we play for a moment?
Let's play.
Okay. So I'll invite your listeners also to play with us. And unless you're driving, and if you're driving, don't do this with us. Okay. We want to be safe. So if you are not driving, go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to play in your imagination. And listeners, I want you to play along too, as long as you're not driving. I want you to just imagine that you and I are sitting at a table across from each other. We're just hanging out. Maybe we're having lunch or an afternoon beverage or warm tea. And for some odd reason, I reach into my purse and I bring out a lemon. Only it's not just any lemon, it's a Costco lemon. And for those of you outside the States, that's like means it's huge. It is a big, huge lemon. And whether you see this as a picture in your mind's eye or you simply imagine, I'm sure you can imagine the thick, dimply yellow skin and the little two pointy sides on it. Now imagine that I start rolling it around on a cutting board that's magically appeared in front of me to loosen up the juices. And maybe you can get a little hint of that lemony, fresh smell. And now, magically, I have a very sharp knife and I slice it right in half. The juice starts spraying. You may imagine feeling some of that juice touching your skin, and you can smell that a little bit more now. And now, simply imagine, we're just playing in your imagination. Imagine that you pick up one of the halves of the lemon and you bring it up under your nose and take a big, juicy smell of that. Oh, it smells so good. And then again, we're just playing in your imagination. Imagine that you open your mouth and you take a big, juicy bite out of that lemon and open your eyes. And what just happened, Katie?
What do you mean? What just happened? What happened? What you said happened?
Well, I saw you like, oh, register when I said, oh, take a big juicy bite. I saw you like really register. What happened in your mouth?
I don't think I really had time to register it, but I enjoyed the playing.
Okay, because I saw you when I said that. I saw the reaction from you.
Oh,
And a lot of times people will say, oh, like they felt like it was that they could taste that tart smell, that tart taste. And we weren't even in the same room. We're not even in the same country as we're recording this, right? So we can imagine things. And so if you think about, we just recently had the Olympics over the summertime. All those Olympic athletes are using their imagination to help them win these gold medals. They do the mental dress rehearsal of everything. Simone Biles, every little thing that she did, everything she would go in her mind over and over again. Really, every single thing was perfect. And then did she ever see herself on the bronze or the silver podium? No, she always saw, felt, and imagined herself on the gold podium. So the lemon exercise is a way of helping people to understand that our imagination is where our power is, and imagination is the language of the subconscious mind, and that's where our power is. So we, as normal human beings, not Olympic athletes, many of us do this mental dress rehearsal, but we're always dress rehearsing the worst case scenario, like I used to do, where it was always, oh my gosh, what if the hell my husband's plane crashes or blah blah blah. okay, what if instead we dress rehearse a good outcome, a positive outcome, and not that it has anything to do about changing the other person, because we can't change other people, places, and things. When we do that mental dress rehearsal, if we have an uncomfortable situation, a conversation coming up with, someone we love or with someone we work with, we do the mental dress rehearsal of us being able to stay in our calm power instead of, well, and they don't do this and that, right? We don't focus on them because we can't affect that. But when we do the mental dress rehearsals and really tap into imagining, feeling as if we are staying in our power, we have a much better outcome.
So basically you're empowering other people to be able to imagine themselves in the better situation that they want to be in.
Yes, and not that it's airy fairy. Like,
No.
trust me, I am not saying, oh, just click your heels 3 times, imagine, because I don't know. Did you? It was a while ago. Do you hear, read, or see the movie The Secret?
I did not.
Um, I have some real issues with it because they made it seem like, oh, you just close your eyes, imagine the Maserati, and poof, it's going to appear in the driveway. I can still see the scene in that movie. And when that movie came out, I had a client come to me on a Monday night. I don't remember what she was coming to me for. And I was shocked when I opened my waiting room door. I opened, and here was this woman, and she was beside herself. She was hysterical and she was upset and angry. And it was because she, from The Secret, she knew she had the winning lottery ticket on Saturday night. She was going to tell her miserable boss off on Monday morning and quit her job. And of course, she didn't have the winning lottery ticket. So that's where it's not magical thinking, but we can leverage that imagination as long as we do it in a responsible way, where I was saying, where it's not, okay, all right, I'm going to do this mental dress rehearsal of this boss that I have such a horrible time with. I have such a difficult time with. And oh, I'm going to do these mental dress rehearsals of, oh, now he or she is this, really loving, wonderful person. Well, that's not going to happen. Instead, do the mental dress rehearsal of you in your power, not letting what they say crumble you. Right? Does that make
Because
sense?
oh yeah, because people that are trying to bend someone else's will, that's not ethical.
Definitely not. No, and hypnosis, there's a big, big difference between hypnosis and brainwashing. And people,
Mm.
people have asked me that through the years of, well, isn't hypnosis brainwashing? And it's not, right? So if whether you or your listeners have ever seen a stage hypnosis show, I was trained as a stage hypnotist many years ago because if you're good at it, you can make a lot of money. But that wasn't what I wanted to do. It's all for fun, and it's okay, you're going to go and act silly and whatever. But that wasn't what I wanted to do. I really wanted to take this incredible sacred magic gift to empower people, right?
Mm.
So, you know, you can you can use elements of hypnosis in brainwashing, and I will stay away from, I could get on a soapbox about that, but I will stay off of it. But it's not about using hypnosis to have control over anybody else. And my whole perspective is, oh my gosh, I found these magic ways that can really empower you to live the life that you want. Let me help you. Let me share that with you.
Mm.
But you want to talk about, something I'm really, really good at, come with a fear or a phobia. You have a fear of flying, and it's not within reach, otherwise I'd bring it out. I have a picture of one of my favorite client stories to tell,
Ooh.
Sarah, who came to me at 19 with her words, crippling fear of flying. She was not going on her family vacation. And we worked together. We had just 3 sessions, and she went flying with her family to her vacation. She did study abroad the next semester, and she was flying all over Europe. And then I wake up, Katie, one morning, I wake up, I'm looking at Facebook, and I see a picture of Sarah jumping out of an airplane, skydiving. I was like, oh my gosh, but it gets even better. It completely changed her life because I'm pretty sure she was a business major in college when we worked together. She went on to build a very successful business as the 5 foot traveler. She's been to all 7 continents, like 150 different countries. She would have never done that if she hadn't been willing to face her fear. So, fears and phobias, I people talk about exposure therapy, and well, I don't believe in that, and that's just my belief. And, if that's your belief, then great, go do that. But if you want to get there quicker, again, I helped Sarah get over her fear of flying, jump out of an airplane, become the 5 foot traveler in just 3 sessions. So, a fear, I love working with fears because there's no gray area. You either have the fear or you don't. There's no, and there's no expiration. It's not like, oh, okay, we work together and now you can go flying, but it's like a carton of milk. It's got an expiration date on it. It's once it's gone, it's gone. It doesn't come back.
Nice. Oh, what an awesome story.
Well, and it's also, I work mainly with adults, but I have a pediatrician local to our town who is sending me kids with her patients with fears and phobias for over 10 years because a lot of kids are very, very afraid of getting shots. And this one little girl in particular that I have a picture of, her mom was like, she sent me a picture. She was so thrilled to share it with me. She would have to be held down by 2 adults while she was kicking, screaming, frothing at the mouth to get her shots. And so the mom's like, go work with Stephanie. And then they come back and they sit there like a little Zen baby, like, oh, we're done. Great. And so when I work with little kids like that, so the last one, the one I just talked about, I think she was like maybe 11. That changes the whole trajectory, just like it did for Sarah, because the one with the skydiving, because at 11 years old, for a child to figure out, oh, here's this thing that I thought was completely outside of my control. Oh, I can control this. It changes everything. Going forward, she now knows that no matter what comes her way, she can overcome it.
Man, it makes me so sad because I really wish that had been available for my poor mom when she was a kid and she was being held down by a bunch of guys because she needed to get drops in her eyes. And she's 50. I'm 38, so she's 58. 58 years old and still so traumatized by that she won't get the surgery that she needs.
I would love to talk with mom. And just FYI, okay.
She wouldn't. She won't be listening to this podcast. My parents are very, yeah.
They have different beliefs than we do. How's that?
That's how it is, and it's so sad. It makes me so sad.
It is. And I understand the frustration because it's like, oh, wait, we can see, right? There's help there. But, I've really, and this is where the wisdom of age comes in, Kate, where I've really come to understand that, okay, that's their belief system. My job is not to try and convince somebody of something that they don't want to believe in. And that's okay. I can offer it. And those that are open to it, let's step through the magic door together.
Yeah, it's so freaking annoying how, more than annoying, but it's the first word that came to mind, how religion keeps people in these boxes of pain and lack, but it's promise, but the promise is always, but we're the happiest people in the world. Other people are just pretending to be happy, but at night they lie awake thinking about that God-shaped hole in their heart.
Yeah, I have said often that I am spiritual, not religious. And, I was, and, that worked at that time in my life. And now it doesn't. And, now I'm on a different path.
Yeah. How do you reconcile that experience that you had afterwards? Did you think that you're like, okay, I was connecting with the divine, or the creator or whatever? How do you connect to your spirituality now?
Yeah, so it's definitely, and I don't know what the right name is, because it could be God, it could be the divine, it could be nature. I just feel so connected and so in the flow in nature. And so again, religion is not the right answer for me. And for some people it is. And I think there's some very positive things about religion. There's also a lot of negative things that is why I don't want to be a part of it. And so I'm not going to say somebody's wrong because they are into religion, because I was for a certain period of time, I really was into all of that, but now I see it from a different perspective. And I have a much simpler, like, I guess my religion, if it had to just boil down to, what is it? Be kind.
Mm. Do you
That's
think
it.
do you think that hypnotism could help people who have deconstructed but still have lingering like fear of hell or the rapture or other
Oh,
things?
definitely, definitely. So years ago, I did like a half day intensive with somebody, and it really was an intensive. And she was a very, very devout Catholic. And she called me her spiritual doula after that, because I show up, my beliefs don't show up with me. I show up as, there's a quote that I heard from, it wasn't David G is who I heard it from. I forget who said it, about being the hole in the flute. Oh, Hafiz, ancient philosopher, about being the hole in the flute and letting the breath of the divine come through me. And so
Mm.
when I show up with a client, I'm not showing up with any of my beliefs. They're parked at the door. And if you are a devout Catholic, then I show up honoring and respecting your beliefs as a devout Catholic. If you're a devout Christian or Islam or whatever it is, that's not my business. It's my business is to be able to show up and respect where you are and what your beliefs are and help you find your truth.
Mm. So hypnotism doesn't have to adhere to any language then.
No,
Any religion then. It can
right.
be for the individual apart
It
from
is
religion.
very individual, because with hypnosis, I have really come to understand. Fortunately, I didn't know anything really about intuition. I didn't know it when I was 14 and knew, oh, I'm going to be a celebrity radio DJ. I didn't know about my intuition when I was looking for a hypnosis training. So that was in 2001, I think. And, think about where we were with the internet. It was still, I don't think we even had Google yet. Maybe we did. But, it was like, ooh, the computer was cutting edge. And I'm looking for hypnosis training in Connecticut, the state where I live. And I'm seeing that, oh, you could train for a weekend and be a certified hypnotist. And I was like, I don't quite think that's enough training to do that kind of work. So maybe I'll keep looking. So I look, and I found this brilliant woman in New York City. And, she had a much more intensive, robust training. And she helped me to really understand what I already innately knew, that, and this is why I call myself an integrative hypnotist, because it's not about one thing. Hypnosis is not, a lot of hypnotists are reading a script and they put it in these plastic page protectors, so you don't hear the paper turning as they're reading it. And this Melissa, my hypnosis mentor, was like, no, you don't read a script, because a script is a one size fits all approach. You get the answers from your client. The client has all the answers they need. So in a way, it's like being a detective and helping the client to discover those answers and bring them forth. And then again, this is where the book comes in, of empowering. We do the healing work working together. And then let me empower you with a toolkit to help you to maintain your balance and these skills, to learn them, that you can use these for the rest of your life. It's not about, oh, Steph waves her magic wand, which I don't have one, but if I did, oh, Steph waves her magic wand and poof, I'm fixed. There is no I'm fixed, right? So for years and years and years, I have struggled with all kinds of things. When the pandemic hit and the lockdown hit, I lost my shit just like everybody else. Sorry if that has to get bleeped out. And I realized that I wasn't really moving very much. And emotion, energy in motion. When we're not physically moving, our emotions aren't moving. So I became my own client, and I was using hypnosis to help me to start moving more. And I started moving more. I started making healthier choices as far as, what I was eating, how much I was eating. And I stopped a nightly alcohol habit. And that was huge for me. And that is something, and I share it freely with people so that anybody who's listening who might be in that situation where, okay, I have this habit. I share it like, okay, I've been there. I get it. And you really can find your way out of it. And it's, again, hypnosis helped me find my freedom. And so I share that so other people understand that no matter what, and that's where that quote from that I read from Dr. Eger comes in. It doesn't matter what we've dealt with. We can choose to find our emotional freedom.
That's beautiful. And that feels like a really good place to end this.
Thank you.
But we will be sure to collect all the links that you have for me.
I got lots
People can find your book, follow you on the socials.
Awesome.
Earlier on in our conversation, she went into more detail about her book, and I thought that this would be a good place to fit that into our conversation here. So here's that.
And it birthed out of me. Literally, from hearing that whisper to publication was 2 months. Like, nobody writes a book and publishes it in 2 months, but this is all stuff that I know so well. It's all different techniques that I have been using with clients, sharing with clients, using in my own life for 25 plus years. And it's called Goodbye Anxiety, Hello Freedom.
Nice.
And really fun. It's got 35 different strategies, very quick strategies to be able to find your calm quickly. Because, for most of us, if we don't have like a meditation practice and somebody says, well, you need to meditate 20 minutes in the morning and meditate again 20 minutes in the evening, which is the way I was first introduced. Like, that's not going to happen, right? But when I can teach you how in the moment, anytime, anywhere, something triggers you and you can do this little technique to find your center again, that you will do. And by doing it again and again and again, it becomes a new healthy habit. Because if you tune into any of my Insight Timer lives, you will always hear me say, always, habits become habits through practice and repetition. So we practice the things that we don't want to do all the time, right? We practice our quote unquote bad habits all the time because we're doing them again and again and again. And the more we practice them, the deeper ingrained they become. So when we start new habits, whether it's, there's 35 techniques in my book, but boy, there's another 100 or more in my brain. When we do these new habits and we start to turn things around, when we start new habits, it's kind of like when we put the jeans on fresh out of the dryer. They're a little bit tight at first, but then after you wear them for a couple of hours, now they're nice and smooth. That's the way it is with habits. So at first, we need to really get conscious about working those habits, and then they become these natural, well-worn habits. So the whole reason I wrote the book the way I did, and all the techniques are in alphabetical order in the book, so you don't even have to read the whole thing. It's peruse the table of contents, pick out 2 or 3 of the things that, like, oh, well, that's interesting, and action them, action them, action them. Because, I talk about self-help, shelf help, right? We buy books, and it used to be buying tapes and programs and all of that stuff. And we put them on our shelves, which then are sagging, and we wonder why nothing's changed. But it's because just buying the book, if we don't read it, if we don't put it into action in our lives, nothing's going to change.
Do you have one last thing that you'd like to close us off with?
Yes, I would love if there's only one takeaway. If you've sat with us through this whole conversation and there's only one thing that I want you to take away, it's wherever you are, start now. One small step. What's the next smallest step? Because okay, I've got to do this big, scary thing. I didn't start out saying, I'm going to drop and keep off over 50 pounds. I just started moving. And I didn't do a 12-step program. Literally, I used hypnosis to help me in the nightly alcohol habit I had. But in the 12-step programs, they say one day at a time. So wherever you are, whatever you're struggling with, just find one small step and do that. That's it. Just one small step. It'll change your life.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. The way that I end my conversations is I give hugs.
And here's hugs to you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you.
Bye.
So I'm curious, are you someone that had a conception in your mind about hypnotism, that it was this scary thing, this losing control, or this literal demonic opening up your mind to evil entities type of thing? That is definitely how I was raised. I think I mentioned that in the conversation, that's the background I had, was you have to be really careful about that kind of stuff, that hypnotism is right up there with Ouija boards and whatever other manner of evil. But I could really feel from her vibe, from what has manifested in her life, that it clearly isn't that evil thing. And it turns out I actually have a friend in real life who has been helped quite a lot by hypnotism. It has really helped with her phobias. And I think that's so awesome that there is some mode of healing, some mode of overcoming out there. And it's just to find who resonates with you and who you resonate with to make that change in your life that you're looking for. It's so hopeful to hear people's stories of having overcome things. And I'm so happy for the chance to have this podcast and to be able to share these stories. When it comes to finding guests, I feel like a kid in a candy shop because I have no idea what it's going to taste like, what it's going to be like, but I'm just interested to taste it all and experience it. I mean, maybe not all. I think I would have my limits of some things that just felt dark, that felt scary. I definitely want to keep things feeling that they resonate with me, that they feel right, they feel good. But anyway, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for hanging out and being a supporter. I really appreciate that, and I really would like to hear your thoughts in the comments, or you can connect with me in other ways. This podcast is a passion project for me. I'm so happy to get to take you alongside me in my journey of discovery and broadening my horizons and learning more about the world and pushing beyond what I was told was evil, to just decide for myself and to feel it out for myself. If you would like to support the work of this channel, there are ways. And you can share this with somebody that you think will resonate with it. You can like it. That's a very small step you can take in supporting. There is a link that you can send me a donation towards the costs of doing this. If you're looking for editing work, you can contact me, or you can put the word out for me in places where you see that people are looking for editors, because I am looking to grow and expand my business. Please be sure to check out my other podcast, Clearing the Creative. It is on my YouTubing with Katie channel currently. I might change the name of that channel to Clearing the Creative to kind of keep things cohesive, but I haven't yet. As of, what day is it today? As of October 2024. So, yeah, on that podcast, I tap into my magic and I help people with their creative blocks. Just intuitively asking questions and digging deeper to their limiting beliefs, to their fears and insecurities, and giving them practical steps that they can take in connecting with their target audience. Because there's a lot of people out there that are struggling in the content creation field, and that's where I come in. I also have my vlog. You might know about that. It's a place where I share my happy, fun memories, and sometimes I share my struggles too. And I'm just not like other vloggers, not like the influencer that shows the perfect sparkly life, but I show the mess. I show the realness. But mostly I share the precious memories that I don't want to lose. So, thanks for being here. Hugs! I'm so glad you're still here. Please like this video, share it with a friend, and be sure to subscribe. Bye!